BJ Nix, are you here?
Present.
Present. Spoonie, Timothy Spoonie.
Present, sir.
Margaret and Mary. Do we have a Margaret and Mary?
Yes. Cool. And the margaritas.
All right. Class here. We're ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
Okay.
This is the time to line up behind your team, to support your team. Have faith in that team.
You know, it's peaks and valleys. You know, it can't always be good. And as I always tell people, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. But when we do know about
house call, Trevon Diggs, pick six. It's coming, they see it, knocked away. Oh, Gregory! Hurts in trouble. 3 Cowboys wrap him up, make it 4. Micah Parsons is unblockable.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, Cowboys Nation? It is Wednesday. Y'all know the drill. It's time for some Pick Six Sports. Time to talk about these Cowboys and what's going on. First and foremost, I got the fresh gear. The Salute the Troops gear finally showed that I ordered about 3 weeks ago. But they finally released it to me and I have it. And I wanted to make sure that I rocked it so I can come up here and, as always, give a big shout out to all the men and women that serve this country. We appreciate you. Thank you for all that you do. One of the things we did charity-wise, year 2, I think, Spoon, we did. We had the swear jar, right? And anytime we sweared, we kept the count going. We put $1 in, and at the end of the year, we donated that to the Veterans Fund. So once again, for me, no matter how, whatever you have politically, whatever, I don't care. For those that choose to sacrifice and go serve this country and give us the freedoms that we have, big salute to y'all. Appreciate everything that y'all do for us. So I definitely wanted to rock the gear. Definitely wanted to give the big shout out to y'all and what y'all bring to us each and every day. And sometimes we don't even know about it, right? So with that out of the way, spin the block here. A little chilly up here in East Texas, I'll tell you right now. A little chilly up here in East Texas. A little hoodie weather. Although we're going to get back to the 80s here in a couple of days. But enjoyed the hoodie during the space of me and Spoon was running there right before our pre-show space we do each and every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Central, leading up into our time here. Had a fun time working with y'all over there. With that being said, Spoon, how's your Wednesday going? A little bit cooler that way, huh?
Oh yeah. You know, I run a lot of errands today. It was cold outside, so we're gonna feel the temperature now from going to the 50s to the 30s to the 20s. So I hope everybody in Texas and also where BJ's at enjoy that beautiful warm weather. Of course, Professor as well. Him being in Atlanta, Georgia, I know it's warm out there. My family always, basically tells me and my wife all the time, "Oh, when you gonna move to Atlanta, Georgia? We don't have that cold problem over here." So salute to y'all with the warm weather.
Yeah, a funny story. A good friend of mine came back with me and wants to spend a week up here before and fly home out here on Saturday. So he was going to drop the first leg. So as you're piping up from Central Florida, you're going, there's a town called Lake City. That's where you catch I-10. So I dozed off. I was like, hey, you want to go use the phone? I got it pulled up. Nah, I know where I'm at. It's fine. I know where I'm at. I'm like, okay, I mean, fair enough. It's Florida. I get it. All of a sudden, we're pulling into a gas station, a little prematurely, I might add. And I'm like, what's going on? And he missed a turn and we was in Georgia. So I was pretty close to you, Matt. I mean, not super close, but closer than I've ever been. How's it going over there for you, Professor O, this Wednesday?
It's good. Yeah, I've had a good week so far. It's also hoodie weather here, which I know Spoonie just kind of let off with it being warm, but we have a freeze warning tonight. It's going to be like 31 degrees. Tomorrow, Felix's bus stop, 32, 33, something like that. But then in the middle of the day, it'll be in like high 60s. So it's nice fall weather. Like, it's not too cold, not too hot. It's good. Good football weather.
It's about as fall as it gets for us, right? It's it's heater in the morning, air conditioner during the day,
yes,
back to heater at night. Spoon. They're trying to trick us into getting sick around these parts is what they're really trying to do. But yeah, hope everybody's having a fantastic Wednesday thus far. I know the winning streak ended. Okay, it wasn't Victory Monday, but we had a month of them though, ladies and gentlemen. We did have a month of Victory Mondays. So let's go ahead and put a bow, if you will, on this Philly game. Obviously, second quarter, the buzzsaw and what Philly does to a certain extent caught up with us. Some indifferent things as well from a coaching standpoint. When it looked like Lamb had the first, they kind of rushed up there, didn't want him to sub and keep going. Diva's going to get to the, adjustments because they were so quickly happening, and they schemed very well what they want to do with Micah there in the first half for sure. And ended up being down 23 at the half. Cowboys do scratch back, and then came up a little bit short at the end. So, with that being said, for you this game, what did you like? What did you didn't like? Well, we'll just go with what you like first around the block. We'll start with some positivity, okay? We'll start with some positivity, then we'll get into some negativity.
Yeah, so ultimately the game kind of went the way that we thought it would. When you hear us talk last week, what we discussed in our Twitter Spaces and on our YouTube show Wednesday and Friday is the Eagles all season long have had an explosive second quarter, just kind of weathered the storm, because outside of that, they haven't really produced a lot of offense in the second half. And that's literally exactly what happened again. We just kind of played into it. We'll talk more about that as the night goes on. But what I liked about the game was the running game in the second half. You can go a lot of ways in the second half in general, but I'm going to go with the running game. It seems like Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy made some adjustments in terms of the way that they were blocking, where we were attacking the Eagles defense. Zeke had a really, really strong effort the entire night. So the run game in the second half is where I'm going to hang my hat on as not a moral victory, but what I'm excited about.
A positive, just a positive.
Yes.
And piggybacking, not a lot of combo blockings, double teams up front. In the second half, they definitely started doing some of that and with a little bit quicker pace, and we'll probably get into that a little bit more. Spoonie, for you, one positive here from this game that you saw, you're like, okay, I like this.
I'm about to say the second half adjustments. Literally what Professor was saying. It gave Cowboys some life. We did have a shot to try to win the game. We was down by within 2 or 3 points.
Yeah, got to 3.
And before the turnovers. End of the day, we've all discussed how hard this game could have been. We all in previous weeks when we knew that Cooper Rush was the starting quarterback, we said that as long as the opponent doesn't get ahead in the score and in this points ahead, and that will make Cooper Rush have it to win the game back. We don't want that problem, and that's the exact problem we had on the game. But we did make it come back. We made some adjustments. The defense just kept on fighting. But at the end of the day, we lost. But there was a lot of positives to that game. So that's it.
That part. For me, I think one of the things that I talked about when it comes to Kellen Moore was the lack of a counterpunch. And if the first punch doesn't land, man, it just in for a long day. I really kind of feel like for the first time, I saw Kellen come with a counterpunch. He literally basically scrapped everything he did in the first half and came up, kind of what O alluded to, the blocking scheme changed over from first half to second half. They went up tempo. They're like, okay, this isn't working. We're going to do this. So for me, that's the big positive that, okay, I finally see a resemblance of the the left hook's not landing. Let me try a right straight. And it obviously it got us, and as you said, Spoon, it got us to within 3 points before the defense kind of give up that drive. But once again, just seeing the counterpunch and getting off the mat, because we saw these games so much last year when they went this way, and it was just like, and we saw some life and some things happen. And so I'll give Kellen Moore a little bit of a check mark here, especially when we talk about Cooper Rush and, the big thing that I've talked about a ton, and y'all have too, but it was, forget the turnovers for a second, just getting down by multiple scores with Cooper Rush was always going to be problematic, right? And it finally, it turned the pumpkin, it turned midnight, and he turned into a pumpkin to a little bit there in the first half. But I'm with you, O2 as well. And we talked about this on the post-game space. I was very pleasantly surprised being down 17 points, and they stuck to the run, something we haven't seen them do in years past. So once again,
huge too.
Right. So once again, it's just one of those. It was just one of these types of things within this loss. I saw, to me, anyways, I feel like I saw some development from Kellen Moore from a play caller standpoint, and grow a little bit, and some things that I know I've definitely asked for all off season, and it was kind of on display for me, even though it did come up, a little short.
I mean, that was the perfect opportunity for a play caller to abandon the run. You're down big. You need 3 scores in the second half. It would be very easy to just say, hey, we're going to have to attack them passing, forget the run game. And that was something we talked about multiple weeks in a row, is they've showed a commitment to the run game. They showed a commitment to a run game. But what happens when you're behind? Now we know, at least from a 1-game sample size, they stuck with it and said, we're just going to keep doing what we need to do and churn out these big plays, churn out these short runs, keep the chains moving so that we can put ourselves in position. And a lot of it kind of goes back to Kevontae Turpin, which I'm sure we'll talk about too, kind of sparking life in the team. But that's one thing that I agree. So the commitment to the run game and continuing to do so even when you're down was definitely something we haven't seen from Kellen or anybody really in our organization in quite some time. So that was nice.
Yeah, big facts. But with the good definitely comes the bad. I know there's definitely enough bad here to go around. I'll reverse the block here. Spoony, what was the number one thing for you? You're like, I just don't like it.
Jordan Lewis. Made a bad play. There was no effort in his run, which led to one of the scores that the camera saw Michael Parsons. People try to say it was on Michael Parsons.
Some of the AJ Brown play.
AJ Brown, but yes,
on the play action. Okay, I got you.
Right, and you saw Jordan Lewis not run fully to his man, and that was one of the one of the things that got to me. And we have to understand, we have to be perfect this game. We called that. We have to be perfect because of what we had on offense with Dak Prescott. We have Cooper Rush there. I know this is big for him and everything. You have to be perfect. You can't let plays like that go. And that's when the momentum. This would lead to the momentum of them want to go for it on 4th down. Hey, let's put it to them. And it's just one of those things. So that's what stood out for me. Is my negative.
Fair enough. For you, that one thing, like,
the penalty demons, they're back. They were back. We did so good. We stacked multiple weeks in a row where we got out of that. 8 and under was kind of our target. Really, 8's still high, but we were like, just get under 8, and with our defense, we should be able to win games with that. We're in double digits again. There were costly penalties on all 3 sides of the ball. Probably the biggest of the night was Fowler with the offsides, which led to the Eagles inevitably getting a touchdown. We don't know how things would have turned out otherwise, but that's what we know did happen. And also special teams. Special teams was a unit that's done a good job for us. And Kelvin Joseph, who's been very good as a gunner. I don't want to take anything away from him this year. I know it's easy to get down on him because of the draft status and, not contributing defensively, but he's been a very good special teams player. Had 2 costly penalties to start us in bad field position, even further than we already would. And when you're down and playing a tough opponent with your backup quarterback, you really can't afford for those penalties to stack up. And they did throughout the night. We even got lucky with the refs not calling a penalty that was pretty obvious on one of the Tony Pollard runs. The announcers, commented on it. I think everybody watching was like, you probably should have called that one. They even picked it up. But that was kind of the story of the night, in addition to some of the things that Spoonie alluded to, and I'm sure what Nick's is about to get into is penalties consistently put us behind the chains, and we can't afford to do that with our offense scoring 18 points a game.
Yeah, especially, one of those penalties from Kelvin brought back a huge punt return.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think for me, I don't think overall, I just think the Cowboys matched the energy of the Eagles out of the gate. Where do you want to lay that at? Players not ready? Coaching staff? I'm not really sure. I just don't think they matched the energy very well. I think once things kind of got into the ebb and flow of stuff, we kind of saw the Cowboys and obviously kind of scratch back and do certain things. But I just kind of felt like, to a certain extent, that place was rocking, right? It was, the fireworks are getting fired off. I mean, I thought it was very much so aesthetically, before they even kicked the ball off, was like a play. Meek Mill's out here doing Dreams and Nightmares.
First lady, they got everything.
Yeah, I mean, just on and on and on. This literally felt like, a playoff game. Like they had it built that way, and I'm not sure. And it kind of sticks to me differently, because it just kind of took me back to the Niners and they were nervous. What we heard from McCarthy. But I just think it just felt like they didn't match the energy out the gate and was very frustrated. Rush, for the first time throughout all of the starts, even go back to the Minnesota game last year, looked a little wide-eyed in the first half. Just like the moment was a little too big. So look, I'm not here to lay blame on where that is. That's hats off to the Eagles and bringing that energy for sure. I'm not going to sit here and disparage it on that side, but I just feel like from the Cowboys side of things, the energy wasn't met. Wherever you want to lay that blame is fine. But yeah, I just didn't, out of the gate, just didn't feel that way. Did y'all see that the same way, Spoonie? Or do you think, who would you put that blame on if you do see it that way? In your opinion, what do you think, who is at fault here?
It's a good question. So I kind of saw it the same way. I kind of saw it the same way. We came against a team that's undefeated. They had all the bells and whistles out there. We've seen it before. We've saw it against the Commanders. We've seen teams do these. We're going to wear our special uniforms against the Cowboys. So it wasn't like that. They took it a step further, because it wasn't just a uniform or some type of gimmick. They had Meek Mills leading them out. They had a concert right there pregame. They had the first lady there, and they
had a fan that run out with them and got arrested.
They had a fan. The fan ran on the field. Kind of like everything that could happen from like an excitement standpoint happened. And that's something, like, when you're watching at home, they don't broadcast that stuff anymore because they're trying not to give those fans that attention. But it's all over Twitter. Like, the players are running out on the field with them. So all that said, yes, I definitely think they were fired up, ready to go. They being the Eagles and the Cowboys. I don't want to say we're intimidated, but they didn't match that level of energy to start the game. And I think this Cowboys team has gotten so reliant on our defense being the catalyst and being that spark. Inevitably, you're going to have some games where the defense just doesn't hit on all cylinders and take some time to make adjustments, and that's what we saw. We haven't had an offense yet, aside from the Bengals game, to be fair. We had one game where the offense got up early and scored some points. But most of the time, it's been defense and special teams that have kind of invigorated the team from an energy standpoint. We just haven't had the offense to be able to do that yet. And, that's kind of understandable given what we've had to deal with injury-wise. But the defense wasn't ready to immediately come out and shut down the team. They didn't immediately have that big play to swing momentum to the Cowboys. We didn't get short field position or anything like that. And the team's been so reliant on that. I think it just kind of took some time for us to adjust, and we saw adjustments, but we started too slow. We started slow against a team that is explosive in the first half and not so much in the second half, and we basically played right into their hand.
It's like I told somebody the other day, if you could be the strongest person in the world, and the minute you put somebody in your back and you walk down the block, as you keep walking towards that corner, you're gonna walk slower and slower. Why? Because you're tired of carrying that person. This defense has been carrying this offense for the past 5 weeks. You understand? So, 6 weeks, and so it got, it happened. The momentum swung, things that happened, anything. It was bright. It was too bright for Cooper Rush, in my opinion.
Okay.
He settled down a little bit in the second half. Once they stuck to the run, he got a little better, but then he made the same mistakes again. These are the things that we talked about that can happen. The Eagles just was that team on Sunday. Now, yeah, we can get into conversation and talk about if Dak played. Yes, but did he play? No. Come December 24th, hopefully he will be suited up as a quarterback by then. Maybe any setbacks or injuries. We're gonna bring this back over there, and I know this team will be ready. But again, when this defense, they what it can do.
Gotcha.
And that's it.
I have a question about that for you guys. Nick,
Sure.
you go ahead and give us your answer, and then I want to bring it back to something Spoonie just mentioned.
No, look, I'll be honest with you. I'm puzzled. That's why I asked you guys. I'm puzzled because I don't know the answer. I really don't. Is we didn't match the energy. I'm not sure why. I think we've heard going back to the Rams game where nobody's underdog. I think the temperament's been set within the building, for sure. But ultimately, I do feel like at times if the team's coming out, the energy is not matched. You kind of lean towards the coaches, to a certain extent, and maybe I think, and I go back to like what D-Law said. He ain't played us yet, right? And certain things, there were comments, and I think maybe these guys that played them last year was like, yeah, that's cool, but y'all saw we know what we did to him last year. We're going to show up and do those things. And they got comfortable maybe a little bit with Cooper Rush winning 4 straight, so the defense was ready to go out there and do the job. And, the Eagles are at a different clip right now than where they were last year. They didn't match that same energy, and I think they did in the second half. But things snowballed so quickly in the second quarter, you couldn't get to the adjustments because, once again, I said it during the game, I said it post-game, I said it in the other space, and I'm going to say it here. Hats off to the coaching staff and what they did schematically to the Cowboys in that second quarter and how they literally stole a page out of our book. Honestly, if you go back to week 2 last year against the Chargers, and Steele had to come in. What's going to happen? Steele's here. It's Joey Bosa. We basically that we're kind of blocking, but then actually we're just not going to block him. Let him choose and get off of him. And they did that very much so with Michael Parsons. So from them and schematically doing those things, hats off to the Eagles coaching staff doing it that way. Tastes bad saying that, but those are just the facts. So I think maybe some of it, and again, I don't know if this ultimately is the answer or not, but I think some of it maybe is they played them last year. I'm not going to talk about the last game of the year, but when they played him, opening game for the Cowboys at home and what they did to Hurts and everything, I think they may have bought into that a little bit too much. But better to happen now than in the playoffs. But maybe that's what it is. But ultimately, I don't know. That's just why I wanted to see where y'all's engagement was on, or if you saw it the same way as me.
Yeah. So where I wanted to spin it back around was, and this is honestly something I haven't fully fleshed out myself. So like you had a question for us that you don't really know the answer to. I don't know that I have the answer or you guys do either. I'm just kind of curious to see where your mind takes you with this one. Do you think Dak warming up pregame and looking so good, and there being whispers that he might be ready, and there might possibly be this, rabbit being pulled out of the hat that he's going to surprise people? Do you think that had any impact on the game? Because think about it if you're looking at it from a player's perspective. If there's whispers and rumors that maybe Dak's good, and then you see him pregame and he looks good, and then you start with Cooper Rush, maybe somewhat of a little bit of a letdown where you're realistically saying he's probably not going to play. Everybody's saying that, but kind of part of you is hoping that he does suit up, and then when he doesn't, there may be a little bit of a sigh or letdown factor, and then as the game goes on, you're like, we got to win with what we got. Let's go. Somebody has to make some plays. Again, I don't know that is the reality at all. It may not be. But do you think maybe from like a psychological standpoint that maybe some of that buzz last week impacted the players at all? Maybe from an energy perspective?
I think maybe it turned it the opposite way, because I think in-house they knew he wasn't going to play. I think the Cowboys players in general thought he wasn't going to play. I think the Eagles were looking for every single thing, so they're like, they might even expected him to play. I think the Cowboys are trying to be funny, which put them at a different elevated clip to be ready for stuff.
Maybe that's what it was.
So maybe it's that way, because I find it hard to believe that the players and everybody in house didn't know he wasn't going to play. I think because I kind of go back to the Minnesota, we wasn't sure was he going to play, not going to play, but everybody in house knew like he wasn't going to play the Minnesota game. So, but on the other side of things, it might have affected them, mentally differently. And oh no, he's going to play. We see what they're trying to do. They ain't going to get one on over us, and they were just amped up a little bit more, perhaps.
Right? Yeah, maybe that's what it was. What do you think, Spoon?
Nah, I don't think it really did. I think this game was circles the minute AJ Brown got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. He did call out Michael Parsons he right away and says,
you're ready for this.
Exactly. So, and on top of that, we embarrassed the Eagles last year. And again, I think the fans, I think we did it. I think we did that. You know why? Because it's not like these guys are not on Twitter and they can't see what we posted. It's not like they may not. They occasionally check out. What are the Cowboys content creators saying, or what the Eagles content creators are saying? We have a lot of guys from both parts, Cowboys and Eagles, that are very connected. So I think a part of it has been because at the end of the day, these players today, they're very sensitive when it comes to Twitter. Hey, I'm shutting it down. I'm tired of listening to your X, Y, and Z. So I think we were part of that. The things that in I guess a trolling match, whatever we're gonna call it, where we say things like, well, and this is the truth. It's the honest truth. The last two times the Eagles won, which is last Sunday and 2020, I believe, it was backup quarterbacks, Danucci and Cooper Rush. They have not beaten Dak yet. And not only that, after the game is over, we come Monday. All of a sudden now, the Cowboys are one of the favorite teams to be in the NFC. The NFC is wide open. But where was that energy before? If I'm an Eagles fan, I'm like, damn, what is it we got to do to have our name put up there? We just beat the Dallas Cowboys. But hey, the people know. The people know there was somebody missing. And if that person would have been dressed up, suited up, maybe the game would have been the other way. And again, the way this team played without Cooper Rush, they showed the world. Yeah, we took the L. But oh my God, when number 4 comes back, if they do it right, if the coaching staff does it right, watch out.
Well, Spoonie, to your point, like you can't tell me that this undefeated Eagles team jumping out early, 20-0 on the Cowboys, didn't think, oh, we're about to 40 burger them. We're about to get payback. We're gonna blow them out. We're gonna run them out of the building, dog walk them. They thought that. Then we get the big explosive play on special teams, ended up getting some points, and we fought back into it. There's no way this Eagles team didn't think, oh, it's done. We're making a statement right now. Everybody's gonna know we're legit, and they won. So I'm not saying they're not legit, but I have to believe that somewhere those Eagles players, especially the ones from last year, maybe not an AJ Brown or Jordan Davis, but the ones that were there last year, like a Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith, they had to think, oh, it's payback. It's our turn now. We're going to blow the doors off this building. And then suddenly the Cowboys fought back. So I'm sure now afterwards, hearing the national, narrative and what the media is saying on, yeah, they won and they look good and they probably are going to go far. But the Cowboys, it would have been different with Dak. Like, inside right now, that's kind of eating at them. That little brother syndrome, like, we finally got our moment. We got our one-up on the Cowboys. And now it's kind of being pulled away a little bit by people saying, yeah, but only because Dak wasn't playing.
Right.
And had they blown us out, maybe they say, well, even if Dak played, they beat him by 44 points.
Right.
Is he 44-point difference? They don't have that anymore. So it kind of changes the conversation a little bit.
Big facts. No, big facts. Here's my question. 6 weeks. Here we are. Are you concerned about this Cowboys rush defense? Whoever wants to take it.
Go ahead, Spoon.
I'm not too concerned. I'm not too concerned. I believe they're gonna fix what they need to fix. Especially from last week, how to play against the run. They're gonna fix it. That's what Dan Quinn has been doing this whole time. He does adjust very well when it comes to it. Maybe he could have did a better job adjusting during the game, but the game was pretty much out. But
Just want to let you know the real is back. Just want to let you know what cup I had tonight. Sorry. Go ahead, Spoon.
you know, I don't feel concerned at all. I really do think this team is good on adjustment, and you know, the one thing. Let's be honest. To hear Michael Parsons say what he said after the game, I am scared. If I'm an opposing team, I am scared. Came out and said the defense lost this game for the offense. Now, I'm going to be honest. Let's be honest. We saw the game. We know the mistakes. That defense didn't play, like Professor Cameron said, they didn't play 100% the way they should have played. But we all know it was really the offense that really, you know, took that from us, what we could have maybe done. So my thing is this. That accountability holds a lot of weight into what I believe this defense is going to do moving forward. So my answer is no, I'm not concerned.
Oh?
I got to pick one, so I'm going to say yes, I am concerned. The reason I'm concerned is we've seen so many teams be able to run on us. Where I have optimism that I'm not distraught over it is we have every game so far had an adjustment. We've had an answer so far, whether it's in the halftime or second half. At some point, we've kind of figured it out and flipped the switch. But I'm concerned because I've seen it enough that it's a trend that at least early in games, and when I say early, I don't mean like the first two drives. I mean like an entire half or so. We've struggled against the run. Whether that's a Daniel Jones gashing us, you know, on quarterback keepers on scrambles or something like that, or a Washington Commanders team being able to hit the edge, just like we saw with the Tampa Bay Bucks. So I'm not panicking yet, but I am concerned because I've seen it enough times now where I'm like, we can't stop the run for an entire game. We haven't had a game yet where we've basically shut the run game down except for the Rams, and even the Rams were effective early in the game running on us. So it kind of goes back to the point that I've seen it enough that I'm concerned.
First I was afraid. Now I'm petrified. It's a problem. I'm just to be honest with y'all. It's a problem. It's a problem because if a team wants to do it, they can do it. This league doesn't like to run the ball, but when a team decides that they want to run the ball against the Cowboys, it is there in spades. Majorly because, unlike last year, it's not about, from what I'm seeing film, and by all means, if I'm wrong here and I'm seeing it wrong, if I'm seeing it wrong on film, let me know. What I'm seeing on film, unlike last year had a lot to do with defensive tackles was the problem. Defensive tackles is not the problem this year to me, and what I'm seeing. Linebackers are atrocious against the run. Not all the time. This is back to the hit or miss part, as you're saying. Go back to the Washington game. First half, Barr and LVE were bad. They cleaned it up in the second half. Go back to week one. Look, and we do have an issue on the other side from the other inside from Tank as well. As good as, and look, I'm not here to bag on him. Dorrance Armstrong's having a great year. He's not seeing the edge very well against the rush, though. That's what I'm seeing, right? Would you agree with that first and foremost? Oh, in the tape, what you're saying. I don't think defense tackle's the problem like it was last year. I think it's a different issue this year from the run defense last year is what I'm seeing. What do you agree or am I off there?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think our defensive tackle play has been good this year. It's not, and even when we are giving up runs up the middle, which happened quite a bit against Philly, it's more of your edge guys being, maybe a little bit too far out or rushing too quickly, or the linebackers more so than the interior defensive linemen. I think that overall across the board, you can look at Bohanna, Osa, Neville, even Tristan Hill, and they've done a pretty good job against the run. I think it's more so the edges, which is what we're seeing quite a bit, with the exception of last week. And our linebackers are kind of what's causing those issues.
Yeah, and for me, and I talk about this a lot, and I get it, it's only 6 games in, but what I do know is whatever you have an issue with gets amplified in the playoffs. Guys, we've seen it the last 2 times it was in the playoffs. I mean, we'll just go back to the Niners underneath this regime. The last regime doesn't matter, just this regime. And we saw it against the Niners. We saw it week 1 against the Bucks. Teams kind of did us a favor to a certain extent and not really got into the bag a little bit, but we've seen it in moments. And the biggest thing, and I wasn't really overly concerned until the Philly game. I wasn't overly concerned. And then once we got it all the way back to 20-17, everything's clicking. And at that point in the third quarter, the Cowboys had like 110 yards versus their 8. And the Eagles lined up and said, we're just going to run the ball. And the Cowboys had not one answer for it. And, you know, the 3rd and 4, the double-A gap blitz, they bailed out, and he gets to 4 yards. Jalen Hurts does. I'm sure that kept Dan Quinn up all night. I tweeted in real time and talked about it. If y'all follow me on Twitter, your guy Nick's right there. Go follow me on Twitter, please. I live tweet during the games and whatnot. But yeah, after this game and going back and looking at the tape again, I'm very, very much so concerned about this moving forward because Jalen Hurts and all these weapons. I mean, he didn't throw for 150 yards, did he?
155.
155. Okay, 155. And he lost.
The lowest out of all the quarterbacks this defense has faced.
Right.
So I'm going to show you guys one thing too that we talked about in our group chat. So some of what we're seeing on tape, it's not just player. Like there's some schematic issues too. This play I'm about to pull up right here on the screen. You can see it good enough. Look at the lineup. You have Jaron Kearse, who's right. So basically going from the middle of the field, you have Quinn Bohanna. He's lined up at 0 tech. That means he's head up on the tackle or on the center. Sorry. Then you have Jaron Kearse behind him. LVE is outside of the tackle. Dorrance Armstrong's outside of the tackle. You want to guess where they ran the ball? It's a shotgun draw. They hand the ball right off to the running back who ran right through that hole, picked up 9 yards for a first down to get into the red zone. Like that's a play. As soon as they see that, if that wasn't the play call, they would have checked to something.
Into it. Right.
It's just so obvious. And this isn't a deceptive screenshot. It actually gets even worse right before the snap. But this is a good indication of what the quarterback and what the offensive coordinators are able to see. I mean, that's just your defensive end is way too far outside. You don't have anybody over the guard. So what happened was the guard blocked down on Bohanna. The center, Kelsey, got Jaron Kearse, and there's a massive hole. Like it's just way too big in the National Football League to have a hole that size. So I just want to kind of give you guys context on what we're talking about. That's the type of thing that happens not just once a game. It's happening several times a game, like 7 or 8 times a game.
Yeah, I just, you know, and even when they're not even aligned badly, there's times they get off anyways. Right. But that's also another issue on top of it. So I say all that to say this, and where I'm at when it comes to this, it's time for Michael to be a linebacker again, ladies and gentlemen. It's just where I'm at. The sideline speed and everything. I'm not saying you can't use him at edge. I'm not. But I need it more 70-30 split. I need him to be back at linebacker more than what we're doing over here at edge. Barr is a little, when he's on, right? LV's kind of constant for the most part, to be honest with you. It's just who he is at this point and where he's at. But outside of them too, meh. So I think, you know, they're going to self-evaluate this thing in one of two things. Either you can go get a linebacker. I get it. Clark's coming. I mean, Jerome Cox is here, but we don't know what Cox has. Right? We just don't know. I mean, how many snaps did he have last year? We got hurt 9, right? Something like that?
Yeah, it was like 7 or 8 or something.
7, 8, 9,
it was less than 10.
Like
he played special teams, but no defense really.
You know, so you're kind of in that realm, you know, and look, excited to see Clark, sure, but we have no clue, you know, a guy that we think would have been a mid to late second round pick. We're not sure how he's going to walk through the door coming off the injury and seeing what's going to happen. Right. I'm excited to see him, though. He'll probably start with special teams, and we'll kind of go from there. But I think at this moment and where we're at, that simply it's time to get Micah more into the linebacker and let him go be a playmaker in that space, sideline to sideline, because we don't have a second level eraser. And a lot of the times last year, what happened was we had the second level eraser that helped. And we don't have that currently right now with the amount of time that he's playing off the edge and doing things. I'm not saying don't let him get off the edge at times, but it has to be different. And I think it has to be more, if you know, okay, it's 3rd, 7 and plus, sure, go right ahead, go for it. But he's got to get back to more linebacker. And this is kind of the switch up where as Dak's coming back and will Kellen want to just throw the ball around and not run it no more. I think, look, I'm saying it. I'm going to say it. I'll probably get honey roasted for it because I don't see anybody else saying it. Dan Quinn's getting too damn cute. I'm sorry. He's getting too damn cute with Micah and just off the edge all the time. He did it so much that the Eagles were able to scheme his ass up and make him non-relevant for a little bit of this game. I'm just calling it how I see it. And he's not being used as a masterful chess piece like he was last year, getting moved around a ton. And now they're being able to line him up and figure him out and scheme him. That's not what they need to be doing with him. They need to put him back and let him move around some. That's where I look at it, particularly to the run defense and in general for the long-term health even of Micah at this point. Again, if it's clear, like I said, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5, sure, go do that. Outside of that, we need to cut the shit. I'm sorry, excuse my language, but we need to cut it. Like Micah needs to get back to linebacker or something, or Spoonie, Stephen Jones and them can get in the bag. There might be a guy over there in Chicago that's available. I don't know. We all want dogs here now, right? Since Mike McCarthy, right? It's all about dogs over here now. There might be a dog available in Chicago, Professor O. Maybe Spoonie. Look, we never hit home with the routes on the safeties. Maybe it's something we never tried a route for a linebacker. Maybe we need to hit a route for the linebacker.
Route 58. Let's get Roquan Smith. Hey, listen. We get the dog that we wanted at the NFL draft. And part of it is my fault for Professor O.
Speak to him, Spoonie. Let him know.
We can make it up by getting the other dog in Chicago. Professor O will be very, very happy with that.
Yeah, exactly. I would be happy.
Let's get Roquan. What is it we got to do to get Roquan Smith?
I just don't think we're gonna make a trade.
Of course,
but yeah, it's a fun thought. I would love to route that.
Yeah, of course. Of course not. We know Stephen Jones, but here's what I can tell: if Stephen ever was to just happen to listen to me, here's the due diligence, Stephen. You got these 2 young tight ends, and they've had 2 opportunities with Schultz missed, and they have walked through the door. Here's what you do, because you need a roster spot. You need a roster spot right now. With these different guys that are coming up, go ahead and put Mr. Schultz on the short-term IR. Get him up out here for 4 weeks. Watch these young tight ends cook. Then you ain't got to pay him next year. So if you go get Smith, you just take you just take Schultz money, give it to Smith, and we're good here. We have an accord.
And to that point, I mean, as probably not realistic, especially due to injuries right now, but the Dolphins are shopping Mike Gesicki. So they did the same thing we did. They franchise tagged him and they're like, hey, let's see what we can get for him, allegedly. So, we'll see. I think there's a number of things going on with the run defense that are kind of piling on top of each other. We play nickel, specifically big nickel, a lot. Nickel, right. We just got Jaron Kearse back last week. He's really good against the run. Dono has been a tremendous player this year. I think we're all really excited with him. He does miss tackles, but he's kind of that heat-seeking miss-oriented that blows it up or misses the tackle. But more often than not, he's been pretty good. What I've seen, though, and noticed, and I'm sure you guys have too, is we played 3 straight teams that play a lot of 12 personnel.
Yes.
And we're playing a team this week that plays a ton of 12 personnel.
Yeah,
so some of that plays into it. Some of the
darkness is red.
I don't know.
Don't worry, I'll figure it out, guys.
All right, so while Nix is doing that, Nix is in the dark. You got Cowboys Nation after dark right now, literally going on with the Knicks. But when you play big nickel, you're matching up to stop the pass, which we've done effectively all season long. But when you take that extra linebacker off the field,
Stephen Jones just shut my lights off. He didn't like what I was saying.
He was like, "I've had enough of this character." Click. But yeah, when you match that up and you're saying I'm playing to aggressively rush the passer, which is what we do. I'm playing to take away the big play in the passing game, which we've done. You also have a weakness now, especially when they go with bigger personnel where they're going to body you up and have more players out there. Another thing we're seeing too is when we are going with big nickel and we have, whether it was Dono or Jaron Kearse, teams are splitting out their tight end. And now that de facto extra linebacker you have is being spread out. So now they can gash you inside or gash you off the edges. So it's kind of just a matter of what we've done last year and early this year successfully. Teams seem to be kind of figuring out a way to counter it. And we've seen that 3 weeks in a row and really all season long with the run game. But I think that's a trend that we're going to continue to see unless we make a change, like maybe what Nick said, getting Micah off ball a little bit more often.
Right. Now, and look, and to kind of wrap up this, and we'll get here to the Lions. is that the one X factor, right? Dak coming back, putting up points maybe at a quicker clip, gets them out of being able to run the ball as effectively as much, and that's where you kind of get into the bag some. But boy, it's a dangerous game, because if you run into that buzzsaw and the points aren't coming, which we've seen that before. And look, that's just football. That's not nothing against this Cowboys team, just in general. And they're able to get to it, it can become a problem. So I'll be very intrigued over here as the trade deadline's coming up. And look, they got to get the trade. Look, to be clear, even though really the tackle position isn't hurting you none, there it is. Is that Dallas? Okay, Spoon. Go ahead and start manifesting it. Spoon. There's a guy like Sue out here, obviously, that can come in here that helps your run defense or whatever the case may be. But again, tape wise, it's not a defensive tackle issue to me. It's more so, as O said, some of the edges, some of the alignment. It's Barr and LVE and not having that sideline to sideline, because again, it's not really so much up the middle a ton. It's the edges that they're getting to. So I think the ultimate thing is it's more of a 70-30% split for me. Micah 70% at the linebacker, 30% at the edge point in clear cut passing downs. And I think that takes you a long way. But as always, for long-term guys that have been on this channel and ladies that have been on this channel, the simple thing that I've always pounded the table for from day one till just now, the Cowboys, to me, have never pushed the chips to the middle of the table since the Deion Sanders signing. If you want to do that, and Crispy, yes, I mean, DJ Moore, it's my pet cat. Say less. Hey, look,
I knew
we
he
get
was going
crazy.
that route.
Hey, we'll get crazy. We'll get DJ Moore and Roquan. I don't care. F them picks. I'm ready to be the Rams go win one, okay? But to reality, though, to see them go make some moves here before the trade deadline and shore this thing up would be awesome. And look, Damone Clark might walk through that door. He might. But that's a long gamble. And what good teams do is they try to, because the playoffs, yes, there's a lot of chances, a lot of different things, but they try to do is eliminate the percentages basically of having a bad turnstile at a certain spot. And the Cowboys have an opportunity if they want to do that. I think they can do that a little bit by, again, going back to Parsons more in the linebacker position than off the edge. But outside of that, there's some other things too. Anything else as we're going to pivot on here? And let's get into, I guess we got the injury report. Oh, the injury report.
Yeah, we have the
injury report.
First, got a little bit of excitement going on in Cowboys Nation. If you don't know, there's a quarterback that warmed up pregame and a quarterback that took some snaps last week. And
that's true. That is true.
The Cowboys Twitter put this out before we get to the injury report. And pay attention to the top of it. Who retweeted that?
Mr. Prescott.
What is that? What is that emoji? First off, it's a thumbs up with the number 4 on it. So chat, go ahead and put some thumbs up for our guy Dak. Apparently being good to go. He was cleared medically, so that was obviously the most exciting news for the team.
Yes.
Injury report though for the Cowboys versus the Lions is super interesting. I'm going to pop it on the screen and we'll talk about it. Keep in mind, the Cowboys are the team that have not had the bye week. The Lions are coming off of a bye week. Do you see how many DNPs they have? That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy for a team coming off of a bye week, because typically that's when you're getting those players rested up, ready to go. That's wild. They're all over the place. Offensive line, defensive back, defensive line, linebacker. Wide receiver. They've been hit hard with the injury bug. And Wednesday is kind of a pivotal day where you're looking, the week as it progresses. We'll see if any of these DNPs become limited or, full participants. But having that many DNPs this early in the week is not a good sign for the Lions in terms of where they're at health-wise. But if you look at the Cowboys, you see that it's full, with the exception of CeeDee Lamb, limited with the hip. Everybody else is full. That's a Dak Prescott. That's a Dalton Schultz. That's a Jason Peters. That's a Quentin Bohanna. Some of the guys we've seen on the injury report or have missed time are full goes, which is exciting. So let me ask you guys, since I talked about it, Nick, Spoonie, you guys see anything there aside from what I mentioned that jumps out at you?
Yeah, 2 things for me. Swift is not on their injury report. So as we're sitting here talking about the Cowboys and this run defense, right? Swift not being there means he's going to be a full go. So obviously there's something there with that. For the Cowboys side, We talked
Yeah,
about this.
sorry, he actually is. It's at the bottom.
Wait,
You can't see it with the
I can't see
scroller.
it.
He's limited, but he did practice. So
Okay. Oh, let me get that off there. Oh, there he is. Ankle, shoulder limited, but also we had the report that he's supposedly going to play this week for what it's worth. For the Cowboys, so Lamb was so it's hip now. It was growing first, right? It was the growing, but don't worry about it. And now it's hip. That's kind of intriguing.
yeah, last week they actually listed it as hip later in the week. It started out as a leg groin and now it's a hip injury. So I don't really know exactly what the actual injury is at this point.
Right.
It seems like it's somewhere in that middle torso extremity area. So I don't know if they're classifying a groin as a hip injury or if it actually is a hip injury.
Okay.
But there doesn't seem to be a lot of concern that CD is going to play. And I mean, we didn't see him hampered last week. So.
Yeah, what are we doing?
I don't know. Yeah.
For me,
We need to consult Dr. Jameis Winston, who would tell you that, hip injury is kind of the elbow of the body. So,
Go ahead, Swoon.
for me, it's 3 out of their 5 offensive linemen they started who are pretty much hurt. Center, the tackle, and the guards. So, and the thing is, their center, I forgot his name.
Ragnar, he's been good.
Ragnar. Thank you. And with Ragnar, he's the best lineman. Decker's there, the tackle, he's hurt. So those are the things that the Cowboys defensive line got to take the opportunity when you see that. You got an injured team coming off of a bye week, as the professor said, and that's kind of like, wow, it's really that bad. And your team's fully healthy. Dak Prescott's back in the building. It's a home game.
Right.
I know the team. We don't like to look ahead.
Right.
But if they go out there and take care of business with the Bears and Lions, okay, and then you go up to the bye week, that is a successful first half of the year Cowboys been part of. And this is where now the healing, let's get this thing going, X, Y, and Z, and then we go back on the road again. So there's definitely a big opportunity ahead for us.
So, Spoonie, since you just mentioned that, the chat's brought up a few times. We talked about that in our group chat too. But we have the opportunity to go through the Wizard of Oz gauntlet this year. We play the Lions, obviously, the Bears next. We already played the Tigers, the Cincinnati Bengals. So we have the opportunity to knock out all 3. There's another team in the league that's going through the Bird Gauntlet, playing the Falcons, Ravens, all that, Eagles, Seahawks. So it's kind of fun when you get those just because from a scheduling standpoint, it doesn't happen that often. So we could be the walking the golden road right now. So we'll see.
Who would be the 10-man? So Lions, Tigers, and Bears are my
Who would be the
10-man? Micah, no, we're going bigger than that. Micah is Mufasa.
Oh,
he's the Lion King. Understand that? See, we're playing the Lions, but see, they're part of the pride. You're going to see the Lion King and Michael Parsons come Sunday. Okay. You know what I'm saying? A Wimble. Understand that? So.
What's that, a Wimble? Fair. So here we are now. Obviously, prior to their bye, they went up against the Patriots. I think the Patriots beat them 26-0. Right. And going into that game against the Patriots, they did have the number 1 offense in the league headed up to that. And then the 26-0, the bye week, so they get the extra week, even with the injuries be damned, to get ready for the Cowboys. The thing that's interesting historically about the Lions, it's just like the Cardinals. We just always seem when we play them up there in Dallas, in the playoffs, even wherever the case may be, it's just always a funky game, right? You had the Jason Witten fumble on the 1, then you had to score late so when he catches it, and then the playoff game, right? We got the Romoing on the ground after being down and coming up, the Hitchens pass interference, non-pass interference,
the Bobby Carpenter interceptions.
Oh yeah, the Bobby Carpenter interceptions. I mean, it's always just a conundrum at times with them. So a little bit of a pin there, if you will. But getting over to this, they like to run the ball. Oh,
they do. Yeah,
got a couple of guys.
Yeah, they have a really nice 1-2 punch. So it's kind of funny. Shout out to both J Tuck and our guy Will Skywalker Steele both mentioned they kind of have the Marshalls version of Zeke and Tony Pollard. And I think it's actually a really good analogy for these guys. And that's not a slight because, Marshalls has some nice branded gear. So shout out to Marshalls. If you want to
I've got
sponsor
some
our show, hit us up.
I
We'll
ain't
take care of that.
that part.
But yeah, so they like to run the ball. They have 2 running backs. A lot of people know DeAndre Swift. He is a former Georgia Bulldog. Go Dogs. And he was the higher draft pick, so people are really high on him. But they also have Jamal Williams, who scored a lot of rushing touchdowns, and his yardage is pretty similar to Zeke this year. So he's not just a one-trick pony. He was able to hold down the fort when Swift was injured. So they have a really good running game, and they like to run with a lot of different ways. It's not just attacking the edges or just attacking the interior. You see counters and draws and delays and traps and counter traps and a bunch of different ways to get these guys moving forward, and they're pretty good running backs. So yes, they do like to run the ball.
Could be trouble. Could be trouble. Could be. Of course, they have Jared Goff at quarterback, who started out kind of okay, and then as the year went kind of a little bit, So now on the flip side, though, defense atrocious. Which is wildly insane. Like, they had the number 1 offense in the league's worst defense. Not saying the Cowboys have been there at a certain point during some Romo years, but it kind of feels a little that way. Spoonie,
34 points a game right now.
Yeah,
they're third on offense with 28 points, in 32nd with points allowed at 34 a game. So they're allowing a combined 62 points a game, which is insane.
Yeah, Spoon. When you hear this drastic difference back and forth with a Dakota Prescott showing back up, what are you seeing here? What are you feeling here with these lines coming into town for a nice little noon game here Central Time?
No, well, this is going to be. I don't want to be, F it. This is we pick 6 sports, man. This is going to be the comeback tour. This is going to be, excuse my French, the ass whooping tour. It starts on Sunday in Dallas. This is going to be the thing where America, you disrespected Dak Prescott for having to try to start a QB controversy, with his teammate. On top of that, the things that were said at the moment as far as him questioning about him being a top 10 quarterback and things of that nature. And then, what else happened on the field during the Eagles game? I know when you walked to the locker room, Dak was engaging in conversation with somebody to the side. And the way he looked, he went
clapping the hands.
He went.
Yeah, he was clapping the hands.
Like
That got me hyped. I shared that right there. I was like, I don't know. I put it to the inbox show. I'm like,
yes.
Hey man, this got me hyped.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not trying to, start no moral victory here, but this was more of a sit back. Everybody want to see how the Cowboys showed the world what they are without that. We only saw the first game. Yes, it was bad, but the adjustments made by Kellen Moore. Once we see what he does with Dak, if it's the same thing as Cooper Rush, everybody understands how good this team can be. And at the end of the day, for the Philadelphia Eagles fans, congratulations. You got the W. You're supposed to. You don't control the schedule. You don't control who you face in front of you. You don't control who plays and who don't play. But the one thing is this. The one thing you do control, you control your appetite. Don't think the second time that we play y'all is going to be the same results. Because here's the thing. I know the Cowboys' appetite, it's going to be definitely some hunger. Oh, and trust and believe. They circled that date, December 24th. And on top of that, there is somebody who's also pissed off with the Eagles because they threw snow at him, and that's Santa. Santa may come in that building as well and deliver the Cowboys a nice gift. Maybe the gifts is something where NFC East could be on the line that game. You never know. We never know. But trust and believe, December 24th, that game is circled. But we got to go through other steps to get there. You can't look too far.
Big 10-4. Big 10-4. Man, this drastic difference, though. This drastic difference here. Where does that let your mind go to here for this game coming up?
I mean, these two teams are polar opposites right now, like in every regard of it. So a couple interesting figures for both sides. So that 38% of the passing plays against the Lions have resulted in a first down or touchdown. That's the highest rate in the entire league. 25.5% of passing plays against the Cowboys have resulted in a first down or touchdown. That's the lowest rate in the league. So we're on complete opposites there. The Lions are averaging 11 we'll call it 12 offensive snaps per 20-yard gain this year, which is number 1 in the league. And the Cowboys are allowing a 20-yard gain every 30 plays, which is the lowest in the league. So everything that they do well or we do well is kind of the opposite of each other. So our defense is consistently better. Their defense is horrendous. I sent a video to these two gentlemen with Ramondre Stevens.
Yeah.
With a run, with a run, it's just a simple dive right up the middle, no pulling, no lead block or anything like that. And the Lions missed 5 tackles. It was like a 30 or 40-yard game. Just 5 tackles where players just had them dead to rights and just didn't wrap up and bring it down. And that happens way too often with this defense. Specifically in the passing game, though, they're really, really bad. So there's definitely going to be opportunities for the Cowboys this week in terms of our offense kind of getting back to what we've seen, or some semblance of what we saw last year, hopefully with number 4 coming back. But it's going to be a true test for our defense because this is one of the most explosive offenses we're going to play this year. They have the sun god, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He at one point had 8 consecutive games where he had 8 or more receptions. He was like 1 short of an NFL record. So this dude will get the ball. They line him up everywhere. Kind of think of him as I don't want to call him a poor man's Golden Tate because that's not fair to him, but think of the way that Golden Tate was utilized. He does that. So he's in the slot. He plays outside. He moves in motion a lot. Like they
a little bit more height. He's got a little link to him.
Yeah, he's a little bit. He's not the same body type, but they kind of use him the same way that Detroit did when they had Golden Tate. They have other receivers. They have DJ Chark. They have Josh Reynolds. A couple other guys that can attack you. And if you look at Jared Goff, he's been pretty good this year. He's not the Jared Goff of old, but their offensive line, despite having good tackles, has a guard, the right guard in particular, who's really, really struggling right now in the NFL. And they have an entire offensive line unit that's banged up and trying to play through injuries. And, that doesn't lend well when you're playing a team like the Cowboys that have not just a Micah, but also a Dorrance Armstrong and also a Tank. And, I forgot to mention we have a Dante Fowler and Osa. Right. You know the names.
The plethora.
This is a game that could very easily be a get-right game for the Cowboys where we know where our defense is, but this is kind of week 1, 2.0 for our offense. We're kind of resetting on offense and starting fresh with Dak coming back. But it also could be a game where you may find yourself needing to score points, so we may need to ask more of Dak early than what we would have liked to with him recovering from an injury or returning from an injury. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how things play out, but every week, aside from the Patriots game where their offense was just non-existent, they've scored points and been able to match blows with teams because of how explosive that offense is. So it's really going to come down to what the Cowboys do to mitigate that, and maybe that's continuing to run the ball like we've done, shown that commitment to a run, keep them off the field. Maybe that's dialing up a little bit more of the deep passes than what we've seen from Cooper Rush, where it's a little bit more one read and get the ball out of his hands quick, where they trust Dak to extend plays and let routes progress. So we may see some more of that explosive offense coming back. But this is a game that, if you look at the 1-4 record, it'd be easy to say the Lions are just a gimme. We have Dak back. It's an easy win. I don't think the Lions are an easy win. Last year, they didn't win a lot of games, but they were in a lot of games.
Close. Yeah,
they were competitive.
Yeah, facts.
They're buying into the Dan Campbell message. So I don't want people to look at this. Yeah, take the kneecaps out. I just don't want people to look at the record, and I'm not trying to imply this is a trap game. I'm just implying this is a more dangerous opponent than what the record may lead on to. And I think that's where you were going when you were bringing up how explosive the offense was.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think, and all world tied in as well, right? Hawkinshaw, so just in general. But see, this is where I'm like, I like sometimes it's when you catch a team. We talk about that a lot on this thing. And sometimes it's when you catch a team. And unfortunately for the Lions, even coming off the bye, I get it. They lost 26-0. Boy, they are, as far as this season has went, they have absolutely unequivocally caught the Cowboys at the worst possible time. You just lost to the dead-gum Philadelphia Eagles. Nice. Dak Prescott's walking back through that door. Sorry, not sorry. And I know I started out earlier with the hey, these games against them are always wonky and weird and everything else. Man, I don't think this game is close.
What a stat from Mendoza.
I just don't. I think the energy in the building is going to be different. I'm going to cautiously lean on what Kellen Moore's been doing with Rush is going to be the same thing, more so because Mike McCarthy's got his hand on that, and we know Dak in this offense can be explosive. Think 2016-ish, and hey, make 4 big throws. He's got that in him. Let this run game do its thing. Man, I think this is easily one of the easier wins for the Cowboys this year.
For me,
can I toss a game out there for you really quick?
Sure.
Could it be like the Jaguars game several years ago where the Jaguars were coming, the year before had this great defense.
Yeah.
They kind of struggled a little bit early on, but people were thinking, oh, they're getting right, they're getting closer, and then the Cowboys put up 40 on them. Could that be kind of what we might see this week?
London?
I think that's
London
where
game?
we're at. Oh, that was the London game, right?
Yeah, London game. That's Brian.
Yeah. I think that's where we're at here. I think the Cowboys are kind of bubbling. They've been waiting for this moment, and and back to your point earlier, about hey, Dak was throwing the ball well. Things were going on, so on and so forth, and maybe a little bit let down. Now it's going to be the polar opposite of that, and Dak is walking through that door, and those things are going to happen. And I get it, right? They had a bye, 26-0 to the Patriots. They feel a type of way. And look, I don't like Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell, if they let him cook there long enough, I think he will be good for them. He might end up. The bad part for Campbell is he might be the culture changer guy, and then the next guy comes in and has all this success. But it's kind of like Mike McCarthy was the guy. Or excuse me, not Mike McCarthy. Mike Singletary was kind of the guy that kind of changed the culture for the Niners, but it wasn't quite enough, and they had to move on and bring in Harbaugh, and then you saw them. It might be that kind of thing that's happening there, but I like Dan Campbell. However, no, man, I got a little bite on my face, man. Chill out. I just picked at it. Eddie-O, get off me. But yeah, I just kind of where I am, man. I don't see any way with that coming back in and what's going on. So he's talking about right here. I had a little spot right here, a little bump. It's bleeding. That's all. But yeah, I'm not gonna go 40 burger. I'm not gonna go 40 burger. I think this is a 30-13 game for the Cowboys.
Well, I'm going 40 burger.
Guys, we're not at this prediction. We're not at the prediction part. Hold that, Spoonie. We'll talk about that in a second. So let me ask you guys this. Nick, Spoonie, have you guys had a chance to watch any of their games so far this year? Like, what do you think that they do well? Obviously, we talked about the running game and how they can attack you there. Is there anything else you think the Cowboys should be worried about with this Lions team?
Go ahead, Simone.
Well, for me, it's the running game. Again, is Swift playing? Is he just limited, right? Well,
he's limited. He's expected.
He's going to play. I'm pretty sure he's playing this week.
Yeah, I know. I believe in the first game against Eagles, you saw a lot of counter runs. Which is something we again spoke earlier about the Cowboys stopping the run, how the Eagles would pretty much might have exploded from what other teams could look at. So that's one of the things, because they do have 2 solid backs in Jamal Williams and Swift, if Swift does play. So those are the things for me to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think they'll be giving up 7 sacks this year so far, if I'm not wrong. So, I mean, from a pressure standpoint, doesn't seem like they're giving up a lot of pressure, right? So those things, matter in that stretch. And again, I think they play hard. Like, again, they have embodied what Dan Campbell is in, like, from the opening speech, and we're going to do this and do that, and people are like, oh, okay, but they bought into it. And even going back to last year, like, they didn't win a lot of games, but they were close in a ton of games. And even this year at 1-4, I mean, the defense hasn't walked through the door, obviously, but they've been right there. They've had leads, I think, in every game this year, if I'm not mistaken. I think they've actually had a lead, and some of them have been double-digit leads, but they just haven't found a way to hold on to them. So, yeah, man, I mean, again, if the Cowboys limit to this run, that's the only scary part for me. And Swift, even though he's going to play, I think he's not going to be at a full 100% clip. So, again, if they're able to, if Micah gets back into the linebacker position and they use that 70-30 split, I think the clips get put on. And if that defense is getting worn out, I don't see much going their way in that standpoint. I think there's going to be a lot of the energy and things that are happening there with Dak back in the building.
The only thing that, in addition to the running game and what you guys are saying, that kind of concerns me is they run a lot of shallow and deep crossing routes, a lot. And that's one thing that the Cowboys over the last 2 years have had issues with, when teams are pulling somebody from one side of the field, going across the field, and we have Jordan Lewis or even Diggs has had issues carrying receivers that far. They do a lot of that. They also flood the zone well, which hurts you if you're in zone coverage, but if you're in man coverage, not quite as big of a deal. So we may see some more man this week than what we've seen previously. But they do a lot of crossing routes. That's one of the ways that they like to get the ball to Amon-Ra St. Brown. So just something to keep in mind. They do enough that you should be concerned about their offense, but their defense is so bad that you should just expect there will be explosive plays from the Cowboys this week. There will be opportunities to break tackles, to get screens, to throw deep passes. Like, basically any way you want to attack their defense, you can do so. I do want to mention this too. So this is something that we kind of dialed back on. It was a big pick six, formerly Stargate, but a big pick six thing in general with our channel. We kind of got away from talking about referees because, we were doing better with that. It wasn't as big of a deal. We kind of got that under control. We have Adrian Hill this week. The home teams are winning 200% of the games that he's called this year. So home teams haven't done well. It's a really small sample. It's only 5 games that he's refereed. So take that for what it is. But his crew is calling 10.6 penalties a game and only 83 yards, which is well below league average in both regards. So doesn't mean the Cowboys won't be penalized, but there's not that one thing from this crew that you need to worry about. Like, some crews are super hold happy, or they call a lot of illegal contacts or something like that. His crew seems to just not really insert themselves in the game a lot. So maybe that'll bode well. Just thought I'd bring it up since that's something we haven't had to talk about, but maybe we need to bring back.
True. How about a matchup? I would like to see Tyler Smith, which is number 1 overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson this game. Again, Tyler Smith has done a great job since being the starting left tackle, and he's had up against good competition. Aaron Donald, yes, he had the best of him, but I'm gonna tell you, I love the response out of him. Listen, I'm a rookie. I'm gonna get better. He's the type of guy that if you beat him one round, he wants round 2. Yeah, I'm gonna get you again round 3, round 4. So a guy like Hutchinson, I love him. But this is the game right here. But Tyler Smith is going to shut a lot of people down. So, hey, listen, Jerry made the right move and got me in the first round. So that's the matchup I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. And again, this defense is going to be pissed off after what happened last game. Not good for Jared Goff and them. And I think Dinkins going to make some adjustments as well. So, and you can kind of take what the Patriots did a little bit, because this roster is better than what the Patriots defensive roster is currently. And there's some things we know it's copycat league. You can take and identify there. So I just think there's just too much here, even with the bye week and what's going on for them. I just think there's too much. Dak coming back, pissed off defense. Dan Quinn going to be in the office. Prediction time here. I already said it. I kind of leaked it out there. I think the Cowboys are going to run the ball heavily. I think that's going to make about 4 or 5 big, as you said, explosive throws, if you will. And I think this is a 30-13 game Cowboys is where I'm at. Where are you at for this game, man?
30-13. Okay. So 30 points sounds great right now based on what we've done offensively. Dak hitting 3 or 4 big plays would be phenomenal, and I fully expect he'll do that. I think this is a game where you see the tight ends get involved, because Cooper Rush, although we did target some of the tight ends a little bit last week, and we did a little bit in the Giants game, just doesn't seem to really attack the middle of the field. He doesn't really seem to go for tight ends.
He doesn't want to do it.
What he's doing is a lot of pre-snap reads, and this is not a Cooper Rush, we're not piling on him. It just is the reality. If you watch film or even watch the real-time games, you see it. It's just a lot of, let me get the ball out of quick, let me mitigate the turnovers, and with the exception of last week, we did that. Dak will hold the ball a little bit longer, but not long. He's still getting the ball out like 2.7 seconds, which is quick. So that's good. Yeah. But he'll extend the play long enough and go through reads, because he's been in this offense long enough that he will hit some of these bigger plays. I think we're going to see 34 points is what they've been averaging. I think we're going to hit 34 points. I do think they're going to score on us a little bit. So I'm going to go 34-17. Not necessarily a close game, but maybe early in the first quarter might be 10-7 or something like that, and then the Cowboys just kind of pull away as the game goes on. But I fully expect their offense to get back on rhythm, and it's not a full reset because we did have a lot of the starters there week 1, but Michael Gallup's back, Dak's back with Michael Gallup, and things like that matter. The tight ends, especially these younger guys, have had their cup of coffee. Right. They've seen a few things and had a couple opportunities to block and make plays for both of them. I think we're going to score some points this week. So 34-13. Sorry, 34-17.
Yeah, and those two young tight ends obviously have had 2 games without Schultz to kind of grow. And the other thing from Dak from week 1 to now that I don't think gets talked about enough, this offensive line has gelled some.
Yeah,
we've seen Tyler Smith get there. We've seen even the week 1, right? Even Steele struggled. Steele was a bully in the Philly game.
He's been really good. Really, aside from the 3 penalties week 1, every game of the season, he's been really, really good.
Yeah, but boy, he was nasty against Philly at times. But no, you're not wrong. No, I'm not disparaging that. I'm just saying, yeah. And look, Conor McGovern's played better than I thought he would at left guard. He really has, Yeah. And the biggest bump for sure is Tyler Biadasz, because at a point in time we were already like, oh my God, but man, he's been good. So this offensive line in general that Dak's walking back into we had coined that there, TC, that Fergie shot. Oh, okay. But in general, like he knows he can buy into it now and not worry about it. And from a quarterback, whenever you believe up front, that makes you tick a little bit differently mentally, and he knows he can rely on that now. So that's an interesting construct as they move forward.
Yeah.
Spoony.
That smile, I can already tell. I can feel it. I'm ready, Spoony. Let's go.
Let's go.
Give it to me, Spoony. Speak
give
to
me
me.
That score. Yeah, what's that score looking like? What you got?
42-9. The defense gets back into allowing 1 touchdown or less. 9 points hasn't been done yet. 10 points. 10 points has. I see 9. 3 field goals. Shut out. That's it. On top of that, with 42 points, I see a score from all 3 levels: offense, defense, and special teams. Everybody.
Let's go, Turp.
Pavante Turpin gets one in. I see a defensive touchdown, and the rest is on offense.
Okay.
Team 40 Burgers back in the building for Spoon.
42-9. This is the game. This is the game where we're gonna see a complete Cowboys team. Complete.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Spoony's bold prediction last week was that we were going to get 14 sacks. I think you guys misunderstood. It's because we don't have closed captioning. He said 4 team sacks. So Spoony, shout out to you for nailing that last week. Good job.
Nailed it. Yeah. Nailed it. Oh, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, man, we appreciate y'all rocking with us. Lions on deck, lion meat. The Lions going to go hunt some lions. That's going to be intriguing. And to see how this defense pivots and bounces back from this game. And of course, number 4, this guy back in the building. But y'all know the drill, man. Before we get up out of here, Spoony, good sir, possibly go ahead and take us on out of here and lay down maybe a little sermon, maybe a little 5 minute or sermon here if you got one in you, Pastor. Oh no, I hit him the wrong way. Don't worry, Spoon, I had you right back. Just playing. Kiki. The floor is yours, Spoon.
Congratulations, Philadelphia Eagles. You beat the Dallas Cowboys. You beat a team that everybody felt that wouldn't be able to go this far, a 4-2 record. I think, we did pretty good, but we didn't have number 4 back. See, number 4 came back 1 game too late. Eagles fans, I need you to write a thank you card to the folks who do the NFL schedule. They blessed you. But don't worry about it, because come December 24th, the Dallas Cowboys have a gift for you. A nice gift. A nice gift. You don't need to put no cookies in the chimney or in the stadium, no milk, none of that. We're going to deliver a nice gift for you December 24th, where number 4 is playing. we're going to send your asses back home. And understand, when number 4's in the building, you will not win. But you can't go too far. Next up, Detroit Lions. Lions fans, let me explain this to y'all. I love what Dan Campbell's doing for y'all. He's making you guys play hard and things of that nature. But one thing's for sure, this Dallas Cowboys team, for what they went through last Sunday and they're getting number 4 back, it's Halloween season. Understand that. We're going to spook the shit out of the Lions come Sunday. We're going to make sure that you guys write a letter to the commissioner. May we have another bye week. We were not ready to come back and play the Dallas Cowboys. Understand that. This Sunday's a big deal because the world has put us down plenty of times. They didn't believe the Cowboys would be where we are today. They didn't. Understand that. Come Sunday, we may be playing the Detroit Lions, but Lions, understand this. You're going to see the Lion King, the king of all lions. You are part of the pride. That is Michael Parsons' house. That is his pride. He is the king. And y'all will bow down and kneel before your king on Sunday when the Dallas Cowboys put the 40 burger on y'all to rest and put the league on notice.
Let's go.
Number 4's back, y'all.
Number 4's back, y'all. What a great way to end that sermon.
He said, bend
the knee.
Bend the knee. Kneel before your
Bend
king, Lions.
the knee.
What a quote. What a quote.
Bend the knee.
Salute to you, sir. That was great.
That part. And light it up, y'all, ladies and gentlemen. Throw the 4s up, man. Rain Dakota Prescott's back. Y'all know the drill. Throw the 4s up. Once again, we appreciate everybody for always rocking with us. As we tell everybody, man, free 99 for y'all to go tell a friend. Everybody's in here subbed up, man. We hit a thou wow, about a month or so ago. Man, we are at 1,100 now, I do believe, when I checked earlier. So we've added another 100. And again, we are giving away some more autographed merch. When we hit 2K, we're giving away some more autographed merch. So
maybe a Hall of Famers jersey?
Maybe. Possibly. Possibly. But what would you give away the first time, What would we give away for the 1K?
We gave away a Mel Renfro autographed jersey, which it's hard to part with. But yeah, we did that. So
that part. So keep helping us grow the brand. And look, we appreciate y'all here on Wednesdays and Fridays at 8:30 p.m. Central. Don't forget, make sure you tune in. Our guys, Stevie J, Mass, and Camber, they're rocking the midday shows and the due diligence. They had Dalton Miller on just a couple of days ago. They're getting guests on that side too, having a good time over there. I actually went over there and did a midday show. What was that, Monday? I think Monday. I slid through. So yeah, by all means, if y'all get a chance, man, check out the midday shows as well. So we're just trying to hit y'all with a bunch of different content here on multiple different levels.
He said it. Yep, I heard it. So
I don't know. I didn't say that, man. I'll send y'all. When we get off of when you get off the show, when you get over there in Hawaii, what they give you? What are those things called? What are they?
Those puka necklaces or puka.
I'll give some
lays.
of those.
Those are called lays, but they have like a necklace made out of like some type of nut or bead or seed.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I'll do some of that. And of course, man, if you're not following us on Twitter, it's right there. All of our ads. I'm gonna do like y'all. I got to be like y'all. I got to put the ad in front of my name. Y'all ahead of the curve here. I'm behind the curve. But that's all of our Twitters. Go over there. I'm literally I think I'm 5 away from 4K, which is awesome. And of course, if you know, there's not, because I'm about to leave. My guys came back with me from Florida. We got some karaoke to go do here as soon as I get up out of here. And of
Boys to Men, End of the Road. Put it on Twitter.
End of the Road.
Yes.
Okay.
Sing it.
All right. I'm not gonna do some End of the Road. I think I got it in me. Right. Yeah, I might have some End of the Road in me. We'll see.
You can do it.
And look, and if y'all don't know, if you're not following him yet, or if y'all do follow him and don't understand, my guy has got articles dropping, Professor O, for the Cowboys Wire for USA Today, and phenomenal work on that side too. So make sure y'all hit him and follow him up. And look, and if you follow him, he's a good guy. I'm following him, whatever. If you add him, he does a nice little response thing with the tweets during the game. Yes. And he does that every week. And you might end up with your tweet in there and everything else. But those have been fantastic, by the way. I've been enjoying reading them every week.
Thank you. Yeah. So we do the best Twitter reactions on Cowboys Wire. You can find me on cowboyswire.usatoday.com. Do 2 articles a week. One is the advanced stat notebook where I break down Cowboys versus the Lions or Cowboys versus whoever we're playing. Robert, hilarious. But yeah, I do an advanced stat notebook. So you have a pretty good feel for who we're playing and what they do, how we can attack them, all that stuff. So that will be out Friday, Saturday, something like that, depending on when the editor can review it and get it out there. And then after the game, usually Monday mornings, I put an article of best Twitter reactions, and it's kind of a walkthrough of the game. We scored touchdown, funniest tweets that I find. We get an interception or a sack, best tweets that I'm able to find on Twitter. So if you follow me, I'll have a better chance of seeing it. But I do look in the general tweet sections using the search bar so that I can find everybody, not just the people I'm connected with, because I want to make sure that all of Cowboys community is represented if they have an entertaining tweet. So good or bad, they're usually pretty funny and a good read. So thank you for that.
That part. Robert, I know it's all love, brother. With that being said, Friday, 8:30 p.m. Central. Be right back here. I might not be here because my guy's in town. I might have some things I got to do. So y'all already know that
Soundboard.
means is about to go ham on this Soundboard Friday. I'm not saying I'm not going to be here, but there's a poquito chance I might have some things lining up. My brother's birthday is on Halloween. I don't know where we're kind of pivoting the celebration of different things yet. So there's a lot of things that are articulating on my end. I was able to kind of make sure I was here down there in Florida. Wednesday was bad, but Friday was good. I jumped in the pool. If y'all missed that, go dial that up. This week I'm good on Wednesday. Friday, it's kind of up there. I don't know, but with that being, oh, you already cranking it up? Look at all.
I don't even have it on here. I'm just going through my phone. I'm just ready.
That part.
Let's go.
Appreciate everybody in the building as always. Keep on us grow this brand, this channel. And hey, look, man, y'all start adding Camber on Twitter. I don't know what's going on with the .com just to be getting it up there and getting it rocking, man. Get over there on Camber. We're going to go on Camber here. I don't know what's going on in the back, and we're trying to get this thing going for the end of the season.
I need all of you guys here to tweet Camber tonight and say, stop looking at LVE pictures and get the website launched.
Get the Pick Six Sports website up. Massey's ready to write. O's ready to write. You know what? And I'm going to look. I wrote like 6 years ago. O's been in my ear. Nick, you can still write. You can still write. I might do some writing as well too. Dadgummit. I might just dip my toe in it as well. So with that being said, man, we'll get up out of here. It is 10 o'clock Central Time. Y'all be safe. I got some karaoke, and apparently I got to go sing Although We've Come to the End of the Road. At least for this show. Maybe on karaoke, we don't know. Peace, go Cowboys.